All right, welcome everyone in another level living land to another episode of Freedom Fridays. The purpose of this show is to support you as the entrepreneur in achieving success in your business and life harmony so that you can stress less, strengthen your relationships, lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum. And my favorite, work smarter, not harder to create your own time, money, and emotional freedom. I want you all to give our special guest today an amazing welcome. She does so much incredible work in the area of branding. It's something that's so essential as we are marketing and selling our services. And she's going to share with us some great tips on how to create identity aligned branding. Laura, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
I'm super happy to be on the show, Dr. Heather. Thanks for having me.
Totally my honor and pleasure. So let me tell everyone who you are, your amazingness. So Laura Hulleman, she is the creator of the Endotype Formula and the author of My Walk, My Way. And she is a powerful truth teller. Her superpower is helping people believe that being themselves as they are designed to be or designed is more than enough. And once a person is grounded in their identity, they can begin to operate in their own zone of genius and experience more peace every day. I love that. And Laura has spent years researching and recognizing the patterns that created the endotype formula, which is the most comprehensive and advanced personality assessment available at this time. And right now, she takes coaches and entrepreneurs on a journey into their endotype formula to improve their business, embody their brand identity, and attract their ideal clientele. She and her two boys, they live in a treehouse in Wisconsin where they enjoy cozy fires in winter and camping, fishing, and kayaking all summer long. Wow, Laura, that sounds so great.
It is a pretty amazing. You're right. We're at the cozy fires stage, so we're catching up on our Netflix and things like that right now while we sip hot beverages because we live in Wisconsin. But uh, I really love it in the summer.
Nice, nice. Yes, it is absolutely cold. I'm out here in Virginia, and yes, I can only imagine how much colder it is up there. So, hats off to you. So, let's get into it. I first want to know, why is identity aligned branding something that's so essential? Can you share with us that?
Sure. So, first of all, a lot of entrepreneurs don't really know what branding is to begin with. We have this vague concept. And I say that with we because I've been a small business owner for over 20 years and I didn't understand what branding was. Right? I have a logo. I picked some colors to go into my logo. I guess I have a brand. But branding is really capturing the personality of a business. And so big companies, right, they pay huge marketing teams and staff, and they kind of reverse engineer it. They go, who do we want to buy our product? What do we have to be about to get them to buy our product? How do we represent those values in our marketing? Who is our personality? And they reverse engineer. With small business owners, a lot of traditional branding people and marketing individuals, having been trained on the traditional model, are trying to do the same thing, where it's kind of like, well, who are your ideal clients, right? What's your niche? What do they like? Where do they hang out? Let's figure out what you should be about, and then let's design you something pretty that might attract them. But for small business owners, that doesn't work because we are our business and we already have a personality, right? Like we are already people. And so when we use the traditional models that kind of make up something as far as a personality, as far as a brand, what small business owners end up experiencing is a detachment from their business.
Mm.
They experience imposter syndrome because there's a part of them inside that's like, I'm really not that person that I market myself to be, or that I've been told I need to be in this market. They can't really fully open up into their zone of genius and into their freedom because they don't have that permission to do so. I have to fit inside this brand box that the
Mm.
marketers have told me my marketers have told me this is who I am. And so I need to be this. Let me put on a facade. Let me put on, it's kind of like using a Snapchat filter. Some of those can make you look really great, clears up your skin, puts on fake eyelashes, right? But it's not really who we are. So in business and in branding, we need to be who we really are, because if we're not, then our clients who meet us at the networking meeting, or they see a Facebook Live like we're doing right now, and they kind of catch our energy, right? They're like, ooh, that's who Dr. Heather is. Ooh, like, oh, I like her vibe. She feels good. And then they do the right thing. They go over to our website and they're like, oh, am I in the wrong place? Because this vibe doesn't match the vibe that I got from the person. And anytime that there's a disconnect, anytime that our potential clients go, huh, that's weird, weird registers in the subconscious as untrustworthy.
Mm.
And so it slows down our sales process.
That's so good.
So by creating identity aligned branding, by starting not out here with who are my clients, but by starting with here, who am I? Who am I in my business? How do we then take this energy that I am in my business and turn that into a design and emulate that in photos and project that in colors and in the copy and in all of that, and just magnify who I am in my business? And that becomes my brand and my marketing.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. As you were talking, one of the things I usually hear is like, I gotta market, and that's gonna let's create the selling. And a lot of times they don't even recognize that the branding is what creates the better marketing, the better
Oh, yeah.
selling, the better
Yep.
serving. And so, I always say like our business is an extension of all that we are. So what I love how you're talking about coming from that intrinsic soul perspective and being able to let that radiate out through the branding and marketing selling, then there's like a congruency, there's a consistency. It's like,
Yes.
this is probably one of the biggest pieces that actually creates our success. So if there's been like these struggles or these hills and valleys, we can break free from that by stepping into being a business based on who we are, that
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah, exactly. I understand that I sell branding, and so I think it's really important. But the reason that I sell branding and think it's really important is because I've seen how it's changed my businesses that I have had over the years, getting a consistent brand. And then I've seen it work for clients. I was talking to a coach not that long ago, and she had hired a marketing team and they did their job well. And she had all these eyeballs on her stuff, like 1,000 YouTube subscribers and hundreds of views on all her Medium articles. She was getting eyeballs on. And then she had a 60% closing ratio. So when she got people on a discovery call, she closed 60% of the time. And she charged enough for a coaching program. She had everything going on. And I was like, so then why are you looking? Because she was trying to get rid of this marketing team because she couldn't afford them anymore. Why can't you afford them? Because she
Mm,
wasn't getting them on a discovery call. Because somewhere between really beautiful marketing that was happening and eyeballs on her stuff, somewhere along the line, there was a brand disconnect. And her clients were, or potential clients were either, right, staying in that sales funnel for way too long because they were like, can I really trust this person? Can I really, really trust them? Snooping around, snooping around, snooping around, snooping around. Or they were like, this doesn't feel right. Never mind. And
yeah.
so we're going to be working on her brand to get it all connected, because that disconnect that you were just talking about, things that aren't aligned or are disconnected, they end up not only costing us dollars and our freedom, right? But I know you work with a lot of really soul-based entrepreneurs, people who are doing some really big work in the world, and they're not able to do their work because of a dumb little thing like disconnected branding.
Wow. Wow.
That's just not okay.
No, and this is probably what you're highlighting is that one of the statistics that they talk about in business is how 95% of businesses fail within the first couple of years. And it could very much be so that, a lot of times a school or something they'll teach you like the way to do business, but they don't teach you how to do business and the business part. They may teach you the skill, but the essence of what's needed for business is so, so crucial, which is why, even though a lot of times people's like, oh, I don't need the branding, it is the difference that makes the difference because it's
Yeah,
coming from
because
you.
once you have that pattern for branding, and depending on which brand person that you work with, right? We give our the people that we work with, we give them a brand alignment or a brand activation formula. So we give them the formula of here's what your website should look like, and here's what words to use. Here's your brand voice. Here's what your social media should look like. And we give them a very easy to do DIY or outsourced so that everybody's on the same page, but it's like a 16-page brand activation formula. Um, because you have to implement it because it shades everything else you do. It colors the words that you're using on your Facebook posts or the way that you express yourself. And if you're outsourcing it all, those people don't know how to sound like you unless you help them to know how to sound like you. And so branding
Mhm.
is just that foundational piece. I don't think we need to hire for all the things in our business. I've grown all my businesses very organically and only hired when I could afford to hire the next person to help. But I do think that branding is one of those things where we need an outside perspective because we kind of stink at understanding and we see ourselves through our own eyes. We don't see ourselves as our customers see us. So we need somebody from out here to be able to help us like capture that energy of ourselves.
Oh, that's so good. It's interesting because it was making me think that one of the common things I usually hear is how I can facilitate transformation for other people. But when it
Right.
comes to me, like I don't know where to begin, right? And there lies the
100%.
power of needing that extra support to be able to have that accountability and hold that space.
Yep, 100%. I think we can do our own marketing fine after we have that established brand that somebody who lives outside of our big confused brain, right? Because our clients only ever see us when we're on, right? We have to live with ourselves when doubt comes up and when fear comes up and when the limiting voices are there and if we design our own branding, all of that indecision and is going to sneak into the brand. Whereas when somebody else can design it for us, they can see us as our clients do and capture that on part of us in an effective way. And so then it gives us that permission to then be that on person, right? And it starts to, unlike other branding where it creates imposter syndrome, the feedback that I've gotten from my clients is like, this gives me the permission to be who I am in my business. And I was like, oh, that's like my whole like that's my heart so happy because that's my whole goal for people is to really be who they are all of the time. And so if we can do that in the business instead of feeling like we have to project a certain thing, that's the goal.
Well, and it's so interesting. The question that I had, and you talked about it a little bit already, but like what are some of the things that people can who are listening to this can recognize or be aware of like, oh, I need this. Like what are some of the
Sure.
common things that are the symptoms for needing to be able to break free and get that root cause cleared?
Yep. So I was just responding to somebody who had sent a message and she said, right, I have this consultant and I've invested all the money and I've done all the things and I'm doing all the marketing and I'm doing the Facebook lives, right? I'm doing the things and I don't have any clients. that's a signal that you might need to get a brand alignment checkup, right? That you might need to see whether or not your brand is on track. Because if it's off just a little, we're going to have a hard time with those clients. The other symptom is a really long sales process.
Mm.
So, because it means that during that sales process, we're having to earn people's trust, right?
Right.
Because when they trust us, they give us the money. If we have a really long sales process, it means there might be something that's happening along the way in our marketing that makes them not trust us as much. So that's another symptom. And I think that every 2 to 3 years, people should just go and right. It's kind of it's a checkup. Go get a brand alignment checkup and just make sure. Because unlike your personality type that doesn't change over time, your brand can change over time
Mm.
because as you gain confidence, right? Maybe you start and you're like, oh, super soft, supportive. But as you gain confidence, all of a sudden you kind of step into your authority. That needs to be then reflected, that change of who you are into your brand. So I just think it's a really good idea every 3 or 4 years.
Well, and one of the things that it highlighted as you were talking is that it allows us to be able to be in this space of vulnerability and authenticity and transparency. And, I think that's what really connects to people. That's what actually creates that know, like, and trust factor. Like, we only really have to be a couple of steps ahead of the people that we serve. Like, we don't have to have all the answers. We're not supposed to. They have a lot of the answers already
Right.
inside of them. But coming from this authentic place, that's this branding creates that authenticity where it's not like having to be on, like you were talking about. It's not a conflict between how you show up and how people are. You can be just you 24/7 every day and
Right.
just enjoy the reciprocity of being that.
Right. Because in business, a lot of times we think we have to be professional or we have to be smart or we have to be something more or outside of ourselves. I am already professional enough, even though I love superheroes and frequently you're going to see me with a superhero t-shirt on. Like I am already authority enough in my field and in what I do. So we take ourselves outside and we less than ourselves. And what identity aligned branding allows you to do is to stand firmly in who you are at this point in your life and in your business.
So good, so good. Well, tell us from your perspective, what are some strategies and tips that we can be able to implement to start moving forward into that identity aligned branding? I
Yeah.
know definitely you got the Endotype formula quiz, and we'll put that in the chat. But what else from your perspective?
Yep. So I think having an outsider's perspective, so finding somebody who can do a brand alignment checkup or a brand checkup, um, and is doing so from that place of starting with the question of who are you? If you're going to a branding person and their first question is, who do you serve? They're using the old traditional model that they've been trained in, that marketing has used for a really long time, but that is not identity aligned branding. So finding somebody who starts with this question of who are you and has some systems in place. So whether it's personality quiz, with the way that we do it, utilizing the endotype formula quiz is real simple. It's 4 questions. It asks you, do you think like this? Do you think like that? Do you act like this? Act like that? And it's accurate. And from there, our system, we know once we understand your endotype, we know you're one of 3 brand personalities. And so then
Mm.
on a quick 45-minute phone call, I can show you your brand, and any of our trained, endotype branding professionals can show you your brand real time. So
Oh,
whether it's with one of us or with somebody else, you have to find that right outside third party that asks the right questions. And actually, we put together a little guide. Find yourself a mirror, somebody who can mirror you back to you, that outsider's perspective, and not that Snapchat filter that's just going to make a really pretty website or really pretty design. So we have a handout for um, your listeners, find the mirror, not the filter, that we would love to be able to offer to all of them.
So good, so good. We'll also put that in the chat too as well.
Awesome.
How can people find you? How can people be able to find you and through that opt-in or through that
Yeah. So through that
download?
opt-in is a great way. I have a podcast myself, Raving Coaches, where we specifically talk about coaches because I love the coaching industry. And they can find me at endotypeformula.com as well. So any
Okay.
of those means they can check me out and find me. I'm on socials. You can
I love
Google
it.
me. Just Google me. You
Just
can find me
Google her.
anywhere.
Oh my gosh, Laura, this has just been absolutely amazing being able to highlight the essentialness. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're making it a word today
Hey,
of being able to have your branding come from the inside out and then everything just radiates as compared to trying to be fitting in this like box and how it should be. I feel like the box is creating a lot of the spinning of wheels, right? A lot of the doing all the things and not getting the results.
yeah,
And you're showing us a way to be able to break free from that. I mean, so everyone definitely go ahead and get your free downloadable, take the Endotype quiz,
yeah,
and even have your brand checkup with her because I'm telling you, as soon as you have that experience, it just opens up your world on how to be able to have your company work with you, right? Like work with you and for you and not against you. Ah,
yeah.
so good. Well, tell us, like based on everything that you talked about, what would be like the biggest takeaway that you want to leave us with today?
I want you to have the permission to be who you are. And so if you feel like you're having to perform or act or grow into the person that you're supposed to be, maybe get some of that outside perspective. The Endotype Formula quiz, even just that personality profile, whether you have a business or not, right, it just helps you to see like, oh my gosh, these things that I do don't mean I'm broken. They're part of my design. And it gives that permission for all the beautiful gifts that we have and for some of the struggle and some of the limitations that we have. They're built in and they're part of us. So that's what I really want people to be able to take away and apply in their business and in all the parts of their life.
That's so good. It's like what was coming to me is that it's safe to be me. It's safe to
Oh,
be you,
yes.
and then be able to shine and let that radiate out. And then there's nothing stopping you after that. It's just a beautiful way of flow showing up, and you can
Yeah,
be of the best and highest service when there is that alignment there.
right. Because we can start then, once we really understand who we are, we can start letting go of the things that are not who we are. And those attachments and those, right, the things that we've put on like ugly clothes and we think we need to carry around, we just start shedding all of that and becoming more and more of ourselves.
Oh my gosh, so good, so good. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here, the amazing wisdom of Laura Holman, and she can be able to show you how to be able to have that radiation from the inside out in your business and your life and actually create that harmony of your dreams. Laura, thank you so much for blessing our stage today. This has been absolutely amazing.
I thank you so much for having me on. I love to be able to connect with you and with your listeners. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And everyone in Another Level Living Land, I'm putting those links in the chat right now. So make sure you take action and get your download and get your endotype quiz and knowing who you are and setting up that brand checkup with Laura. And you'll be so happy that you did. I guarantee you. All right, everyone, Another Level Living Land. We look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Freedom Fridays. And if you haven't already yet, go ahead and grab your ticket for the Biz Life Harmony experience that is coming up just next week. So excited to be able to facilitate the transformations in there and have an amazing Freedom Fridays. Let this message radiate into your mind, body, and spirit all weekend and then beyond, and take action so you can be able to connect with Laura as early as next week. We look forward to seeing you again soon and have an amazing rest of the day. Peace.